How long gone? Coming back at you. It's a overcast Thursday here in money-making Manhattan. Them Jeans coming to us from his room at the beautiful Nine Orchard located in Dime Square.
Yeah, as friend of the show, Rustam called it, quote-unquote, Nine Orchie.
Wow, I haven't heard Nine Orchie, and I think that's going to take off once this.
And also, it was the numeral 9, not N-I-N-E,
that's
just
very
to be
nice.
clear.
That's very nice. That's
so
extra
Nine
gay.
Orchie is like, I mean, yeah, like how do you make it gayer? Oh, that's how. Got it.
Yeah, the Swan Room isn't enough.
I had a lovely complimentary breakfast in the Swan Room. I got to say, I'm happy as a pig in shit at Nine Orchie. You know, it feels as if you've just dropped a perfect little storybook home into right on the corner of a stinky little fish market.
Well, as soon as you walk
and
outside,
a guy trying to sell me Game Boy on the sidewalk.
As soon as you walk outside, the fantasy ends. But that's the point of a hotel. It's meant to create a safe space for fantasy.
Yeah, and then I guess if you live here, then it's the opposite. The inside of your house is hell, and then the outside world is the fantasy.
Oh no, it's all hell. It's all hell. Unless you're
okay, got it.
Unless you're you have serious.
I'm Mr. Brightside over here trying to look for the bright side, but damn, you shut me down.
Mr. Brightside. I was watching. There's a new season of one of those football shows I like on HBO, and the Buffalo Bills are the featured team.
God, you sound like your dad right now. Put on one of those football shows. I
didn't know Buffalo Bills' official song was "Mr. Brightside." I'm sure a lot of our listeners.
Really?
Yeah, like they like that's what they like walk out to.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
I would say that has to be the widest swing in terms of the spectrum of gayest song to least gay city and team. I feel like the Buffalo Bills fans I know, not to stereotype an entire team, but it does. They're not super down with gay stuff for up there, right? In northern,
I don't
New York,
know anything
right?
about Buffalo. I imagine
unless it's like the Hudson Cougars or something is different, but that's dildo throwing.
I imagine that they're probably. I don't think people consider the Killers to be what you're saying that they are, but it's not AC/DC.
I'm not saying that the Killers themselves are making fucking Donna Summer songs. I'm saying that song particularly is leaning on the scale of light in the cleats compared to, the Buffalo Bills. It's a red, white, and blue team. It's they're not winning games because of their brains. It's because of their heart and their this is the old stereotype that I'm basing
they have
off of.
They have the quarterback. The quarterback is the guy who married Haley Steinfeld, and he's about as interesting as a fucking wet piece of paper. It's crazy. It's crazy how much camera time this guy gets, and then he's super into science, so he'll rattle off these facts that like his fucking wide receiver who's got Playboy Cardi on his beats is like, yeah, bro, hit me when I do the
He's got
like,
his iPhone on that, or his Apple Watch that's not turned on because it's accessories. And then the quarterback's like, "Did you know the human head weighs 8 pounds?"
It's literally like that. It's literally like that. But I guess he's good, so whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
If a quarterback or a footballer of any kind, American or British, if they happen to be able to speak even at a mid-level, it's icing on the cake. But we don't expect much from them.
Don't get me started on Lewis Hamilton. But yeah, we're getting ready.
He's different, bro. He's artistic.
Night one of 2 with New Balance tonight over at the One Hotel in Brooklyn, a place I've never visited it before. I'm sure you haven't either.
Put your ones up.
Put your ones up.
I have not been there, but I'm sure it's a great place. I've heard it's really nice.
I mean, those hotels are usually not. That's the first place I saw the key card that was balsa wood, where they hide the technology inside of it. If you remember,
yeah, I remember
correctly. That scandal. So
I remember that scandal. How can we forget? I had one recently, like in the last month, and I remember ripping the chip out of it and just putting it in my wallet.
Oh wow!
Because it's the wooden ones are bulky. You know what I mean?
They are bulky. I mean, the hotel key card, unfortunately, is best in a thin plastic, almost like a lesser credit card. All of these iterations, or the old school, like, here's your key to your suite that's on a giant keychain, so you have to give it to us when you leave. All of that is too much. I know the classic key card isn't sexy, but it's the best delivery system, I think.
Okay, well, I'm glad you brought this up. Fun topic, very How Long Gone specific, but here at the Nine Orchie, they give you both. They give you the tasseled, thick, heavy key with the little leather dongle scanner on it, or a standard slim key card that slides easily into the Bottega holder.
That seems stupid to me, but I mean,
Why? We have options.
I don't want options. I want one key that opens my room. I don't need options.
I know, but you're saying there's two options. I like this one. I don't like this one. Obviously, some people like one. Some people like the other. This is the first hotel I've been at where they say, why not have both, bitch? Figure it out with your shorty.
It's really stupid, but
No, to me, that's the epitome of luxury. And that's why this 4-star hotel should be a 4.7.
that is not. I mean, I get why they do that, of course, but I just think I mean, if you're the kind of, I guess it does then allow you to judge a person based on which one they choose, which I guess I do like that.
Would you judge a burrito shack for offering both black and pinto bean options?
That's not comparable at all.
I see no difference. I see no difference.
It's a good try. It's a good try. But I think that well, which one are you using then?
I'm using the slim guy, but I like to know that big boy is there, that chunk of balsa wood is there in case. And it kind of resembles, when I think it looks like a hockey puck actually, but it's made out of some type of tile epoxy. It's a terrazzo hockey puck. Wow, what a fucking slide!
Of course.
Boy, you look like a terrazzo hockey puck. But yeah, I'm going to be editing this podcast right after this in these banging Devon Oha speakers. Let my nuts hang, blasting myself with the voice of you.
Yeah, that's great.
Hitting those crazy frequencies.
That's what those fucking
hit those frequencies again,
those
Daddy.
$10,000 speakers. That's what they're best used for, is hearing human voices, not music.
A 37 kilobyte MP3 that sounds worse than the Soulja Boy ringtone.
That's what damn. Okay, so before we get to our guest, it looks like Lil Nas X was roaming an LA street at 4 a.m. Zac Efron style.
Oh no!
And was later hospitalized for a possible OD.
What? I didn't know this.
Yeah, I just saw this 5 minutes ago from Academics, my source, of course.
Okay, so prayers up for X.
Academics, listen to his caption. Pray for Lil Nas X. Brea was just trying to find the Old Town Road rainbow emoji. Hollywood is hell of a ...
What the fuck? You had to do it. That's why Academics is corny.
Insane.
He's like, oh, this guy almost died. Time to reference his hit song Old Town Road and say he was looking for some dick.
You cannot.
Look, was he looking
you can't do
for Skid Row trade? Maybe. I don't know if he plays in those waters, but I don't want to joke and make light of this subject. Like when it happened to Efron, I think he just went down there and like he just got hit with a 2-piece and got back in the Escalade and went home.
Yeah,
it was like damn, that was a bad idea. I shouldn't have done that.
That was not a good idea. My TRT can't save me down here on Skid Row.
Made a couple of phone calls and it was all good, but I mean, to go down there and we're going downtown at 4 a.m. There's no other reason than to get drugs, right?
I mean, going downtown,
unless he has a sinister sexual desires, which I don't believe.
No, he might have been going to. I mean, I bet the Soho Warehouse gym opens at 4:30, so maybe he was just trying to kind of get in there before the rush.
Yeah,
and Maru knows his order down there, so he can just kind of grab his matcha and head on over to the gym.
It wasn't a late night; it was an early morning, is what you were saying.
Exactly.
He was just trying to get out. He was going to do Griffith after. He's like, "What do you mean you guys aren't open yet?"
He's doing it to it. I went to I had to go to the gym at a weird time yesterday at like 3 p.m.
Ooh.
And I ran into this
CJ hours.
This like professional runner I know named Tom Black, great name. And I was kind of like, "Oh, bro, you're here at the fucked up hours." And he was kind of like, Yeah, I usually do my miles in the morning and then come here in the afternoon to do my weightlifting. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, got it. Yeah, sure. So this is your second workout and my first. I just want to be very clear.
Doing
about
my
that.
miles in the morning is a really good way to sun your little ass, isn't it?
He put me in my place and it felt good, honestly. At least he's a professional. I'll hear it from him. I won't hear it from an amateur.
And when you have the cojones to say something like that, he could have just run 2 miles and it would count.
I don't know.
But the way he said it, one could only assume it was at least double digits.
Exactly. I'm not gonna question what he did because he's in much better shape than I am. So I'm just gonna assume it was double digits. I'm just gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. You're right. Letting your nuts hang at Equinox. Story of my life. Well, we do have a guest today. And this has been a long time coming. Jarvis Cocker is a obviously legend. Sheffield's own, the singer and frontman of Pulp, a band that Jason and I have listened to since we were in high school. And they did the unthinkable, which is reunite and put out a good album after 20 years, which is unheard of. But they're coming to they're touring in America. I think starting in September. And they're hitting several cities actually. So
yeah, and I've heard that they're still out there. They still put on a great show. They're still playing all the parts live the way it should be done. God bless. But yeah, let's give him a jingle. Excited to talk to national royalty.
All right, Jarvis, what's going on? Thank you for joining us on How Long Gone today.
I apologize if I'm a bit slow because I've been doing a few interviews today. So, yeah, my brain may be slightly slow.
Not as much petrol in the tank, perhaps.
Well, I just had a biscuit.
Okay.
So, yeah, hopefully that's going to start having an effect on me. So, just a regular biscuit.
Do regular biscuits really give you that much of a boost?
They can do.
Okay.
These ones are kind of like a sourdough digestive biscuit. They're quite crunchy. They're quite a thing, but yeah.
Okay, I know what you mean. Have you gone on the journey that many people I know have gone on, which is you sort of give up regular bread, you dip your toe into gluten-free for a little bit, maybe the missus gets you into it, and then you have an awakening with our friend sourdough, where we should kind of land on. What do you think?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like a halfway house, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It is. The methadone clinic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's commonalities here.
Yeah. No, I suppose I do have white bread, sliced white bread sometimes, and weirdly enough, that feels like a treat. Like you're indulging yourself of doing something. I guess because it reminds you of being a kid.
Yeah.
And it was not a treat necessarily when we were kids, but as an adult, I really do look at it as a guilty pleasure with a good bit of butter on there.
Yeah.
If you're having white bread, Jarvis, what are you topping that with? Some marmalade, or are we talking sandwich building?
No, I would generally take the crust. I like the crust of a white loaf, and then I would toast that, and then I would have butter on it, and then not marmalade, but marmite.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Do people have that in America? I don't know, like a yeast extract. So it's very...
Yeah, we do.
It's controversial. It's It's a polarizing flavor, I would say.
All right. So that kind of... And then I like the fact that you've got the softness on one side and then the crust makes it a bit harder. And that's a real indulgence. I enjoy that. Yeah.
Wow, that's a very specific way of preparing. I didn't know you were... How serious are you in the kitchen?
Oh, yeah, I'm a gourmand. You're talking to... I'm not great. I can cook about 5 dishes, I think.
Okay.
I think that's what they say, like every man should be able to do. Just have specialties, I think.
Yeah. I can do coq au vin. I can do beef bourguignon. They're both from my time of living in France. I can do... I used to make a very unhealthy macaroni cheese, but I've kind of gone off that as I've got older. I can do one vegetarian dish, which was like a vegetarian moussaka. That was from a Linda McCartney's book. And then I can make a kind of weird... I used to cook this for my son when he was younger. I like a kind of almost like chili con carne, but using baked beans rather than kidney beans. So kind of dangerous, but a comfort food. Well, comfortable when you're eating it, not comfortable for other people afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
So it's like a British chili, I guess. British chili in so many ways.
Yeah. A lazy chili, I suppose. Yeah.
So no Yorkshire pudding though for you.
I can do, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm from Yorkshire and I am able to make a reasonable Yorkshire pudding now. I mean, not like sometimes you get them in restaurants, they're gigantic. I don't know how they do that, but I get them to rise. The trick to making a Yorkshire pudding is really patience. You just have to get the oven up to its maximum heat, put them in, and then just have confidence, they will rise. If you open to look, then they will just fall flat as a pancake straight away. So you just got to believe that it's going to work.
That's a real metaphor for life.
True.
Yeah, I mean, they often say the most important ingredient in a sandwich is air.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing for a pud.
Yeah, that's right. I often do.
And you often do. So
Yeah.
I know that you came out with the memoir a few years ago, and was that the first run of like podcast press that you had done?
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah, I mean, I did. Do you know, there's a guy called Adam Buxton. He does podcasts. He's quite popular, and I'd heard of him because he used to have a radio show. But then I ended up on one that was actually quite similar to this because we talked about food all the time.
Yeah.
I had to talk about favorite restaurants and favorite foods, and for some reason at that time, everything that I mentioned involved cheese. All the foods I came up with involved cheese, which that's a thing of the past now because I don't have any dairy products now because it's not good for your voice if you sing it.
Oh yes, I did.
Yeah.
I didn't. Okay, so it's a voice related. It's not that you heard yourself on this podcast talking about cheese passionately for an hour and realized maybe you should pump the brakes.
Maybe a combination of those two things.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. What do we think cheese does to the vocal cords? Because I have heard this before, but what is the issue that it causes?
Dairy creates a lot of phlegm in the body.
Yeah.
I'll let Jarvis explain that.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So milk and cheese just they make you a bit phlegmy, and you just can't. You make your voice not as clear. Yeah.
And when we were all younger men, we could chug all the milk and cheese that we like and still sing like a bird. But now, when you're older, you don't process that dairy so well.
No, that's it. So
all of us, not just you.
yeah.
I wondered what was wrong with my voice, but that explains a lot now. I have to go back to the drawing board on this next time. Have you? So when if your voice isn't feeling well and there's thousands of people out there, how good does the steroid shot feel before you hit the stage if you need it?
I've never had a steroid shot. I have to get the other people in the band who can sing to help me. We had.
You go old school. You just have people use the microphones on stage more.
Yeah, well, it happened. We were playing last year. We played in Mexico, but I don't know whether I'd picked up the virus or whatever. But my voice went really bad, and I couldn't hit notes and stuff like that. So we had like an emergency summit where we met in my hotel room, and we played back like the live versions of songs, and I'd sang along and just said, look, I can't hit that note, I can't hit that note. And they just very kindly helped me. And I guess it was perceptible. I'm not saying it was like completely professional and you couldn't tell and you thought I could sing fine, but luckily anyway, I don't know if it's, Mexico City is very high. I don't know if it was something to do with the altitude or something like that, but my voice went quite weird, and I'm glad to say that it's come back to normal now.
What other care do you do? Do you just drink a lot of tea? Do you have any weird concoctions that you've discovered over the years that keep you, humming?
Yeah, there are these licorice flavored sweets called vocal zones.
Okay.
And they
sounds like a pedal.
Yeah,
it does sound like a pedal.
Anyway, you're allowed to suck as many of those as you want during a day, and that kind of is good for your voice. And then there's also a tea that's called throat coat.
Throat coat, I'm familiar with. And
and that
great name.
Yeah, and then there's also stuff you can spray into your throat. And now that's got a good name. It's got very
Entertainer's Secret.
But the secret is out now because we've told everybody about it. But that's
I know we're giving it away. We're giving it away for free.
That's got very good packaging because it's like a jacket and a bow tie on the tube.
It's a little a little suit.
Yeah.
It's a nice little
like
suit.
Something Frank Sinatra should spritz on before he goes out in Atlantic City, perhaps.
Exactly.
I've been told by a few people though that's a secret hack for sober singers because it does have just a tiny bit of alcohol in it.
Oh right, okay,
to help
the sourdough.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a taste.
Just a little.
Well, it
taste.
sounds like we have three great products with three great names, and it was great hearing you of all people sort of make a meal out of the pronunciation of them. I feel like there's room in the market for one more, a fourth vocal out of a suppository or some type of a IV drip. It could be an under the tongue situation, maybe.
Okay.
We'll workshop it, but this could be a good, kind of revenue stream as the ship begins to sail off into retirement,
Okay.
Yeah, I think you should be looking at business opportunities because you can't perform forever. And I know you know that.
That's the name of the product. You can't perform forever. But with us, you can.
Yeah. If you need any business help, just know that we're here for you.
Okay, well, maybe it's a special biscuit. We started off talking about biscuits, but maybe there's
There we go.
some kind of biscuit that as it goes down your throat, it somehow stimulates your vocal cords.
Okay, do you think is there a biscuit flavor out there that you've been dreaming of that you're just not seeing produced? You're not seeing it at Tesco?
Alcohol.
No. I don't actually have. I like blander kind of flavors, I suppose. I like. Are you familiar with water biscuits?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
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 So I used to like those a lot. They kind of taste of nothing.
Roasted cardboard.
Yeah, but they're very crunchy. The texture of them
Love it.
can be quite dangerous actually if you bite into it. You can cut yourself if you're not careful. So yeah, something like that. A kind of water biscuit maybe would be.
I'm interested in pursuing this for sure because I think those. I don't think those get enough shine over here in New York City. I think people are overlooking
biscuits need
those.
more of a. They need more of a presence stateside.
Yeah, because biscuits to us, especially I'm from the South, a biscuit is a fluffy kind of slathered in butter fat boy breakfast.
All right.
So and they are delicious and beloved, but I think there could be some reframing that would help us all and our waistlines.
Okay, great. Let's do it.
Okay. On the same theme of food, Jarvis, on the new record, which we do enjoy, there's a song on there called "Farmer's Market," which I believe seems to be about picking up chicks at the farmer's market, which is about as cool of a topic as you can get. Could you kind of elaborate on that a little bit more, if that's what it's actually about?
This is hitting close to home for Jason specifically, so I think he's feeling seen.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, it's the specific farmers market. It's one in LA. I think it's on Fairfax.
Oh.
And I went there with my now wife, but was my girlfriend at the time, and my son, but my son from my first marriage. And we ate some Mexican food. My son bought some very hot chili sauce to take home and frighten his school friends with.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought some postcards of those cars. I think they're designed by, is he called Barris or something? You know, those kind of like funny, kind of like Hot Wheels cars, but they were real cars, like kind of
okay.
Made in the kind of 60s and 70s, very kind of like drag racer cars, but with big pink bubbles for you to sit inside to drive it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been, so there was a shop that sold that kind of stuff. I think that has now closed down and is online, but I don't know. I really liked that place. I didn't start a relationship there, but I wrote some words that mentioned that. I imagined an encounter between a guy kind of having been to the market and then he sees a woman and he likes her, but then he's just putting his groceries in the back of the car and then he thinks, hold on, why don't I go and talk to her? And he does.
Mm-hmm.
And that puts his life in a completely different, on a different track. So a similar thing happened to me with meeting my wife, but I didn't meet her in a farmer's market. I met her at a wedding. Actually, I was the best man at a wedding, and I met her there.
That's a pretty classic tale, actually.
And also, of all the people to be a best man at the wedding, I feel like you really fulfilled those duties.
Well, yeah,
in a fantastic way.
Whose wedding was it, Jarvis?
It was Steve Mackey, who was Pulp space player, but unfortunately is no longer with us. But it's the only time that I've been a best man. And I was thinking that because I was I guess I was 40, 41, 42. So I thought, everybody's married who's going to get married, and most of them are getting divorced now. So that's it. I'm never going to be a best man. And then out of nowhere, I got asked to do it. So I was very happy to be asked.
Did you write the speech or did you freestyle?
Yeah, I wrote it. I did a kind of PowerPoint.
Oh wow! So we did a presentation. There were visual elements.
Yeah, yeah. I managed to get some photographs, and I kind of told his life story in a slight, gently disparaging way.
Of course, it's a
with
sweet spot.
showing slides and talking about stuff, and yeah, there was laughter and tears.
A visual element. I've never seen a visual element implemented for a best man speech, but I'm inspired.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, a PowerPoint is just a glorified slideshow, and
It's true.
It is.
yeah, it was a good way of showing some slightly embarrassing pictures of him, but not making him too embarrassed. I mean, I've seen the worst best man speech I ever witnessed was a relative of mine. Their daughter got married, and in the best man speech, he basically incriminated the groom into some kind of stealing something and hiding in the loft of a house to avoid the police. And all the kind of older people there kind of the atmosphere turned very cold at that point. People wondered whether they should call the police and get him arrested and stuff.
Do you think your relative was under the influence of alcohol, or is this just a natural occurrence?
No, I mean, no. The best man definitely was under the influence of alcohol, and that was why he kind of made this terrible speech. Yeah, I don't know. The marriage didn't last that long. It was kind of doomed from that particular moment. Actually,
It's a bad omen. Have you performed at weddings?
yeah. Once a really long time ago, I didn't really know the people who were getting married, but me and a friend were on holiday in France, and we went to we got a kind of invitation to a wedding, and the kind of thing at the wedding was everybody who was there had to go and perform something, which was quite good actually, because it was a good way of getting to know people. And there was a guitar there, so I played a song. And
One of your own or a cover song?
yeah, I'm terrible. I mean, I know. I said I know how to cook 5 different dishes, and I probably know how to play 3 other people's songs. That was really why I started writing my own songs. I always wanted to be in a band, and when I finally managed to persuade some people to come round to my mother's house on a Friday night to rehearse, because we were also musically inept, we just had to try and write our own songs because we couldn't work out the chords to anybody else's, apart from Stepping Stone by the Monkees, because that's just da, 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 da. It's only 4 chords, and that was quite easy.
Great song. I haven't thought about that in a long time.
No, it is a good song, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I that's one retirement thing I won't be able to do. I won't be able to be a wedding singer.
You can't. I mean, I think at this point, I think it's acceptable for you to focus on your own music. I think it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want you to be a wedding singer, but I would say that this newest album has taken a direction in a little bit of a lounge lizard territory. Would you agree or be offended by that?
Well, I don't know which song. Are there any songs in particular you think are going in that direction?
Good question. I mean, I guess just as you know, the band has progressed and everyone's gotten older. Oftentimes, song, tempos will slow down a little bit more and things will get a little more groovy, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe Tina.
Yeah.
It has a little different feel to it.
I suppose so, yeah.
Tina, saw her this morning on the train. She's playing games. Sometimes he changes the colour of her hair.
Haven't really got the voice to be a Frank Sinatra or a Scott Walker or anybody like that. I admire those people, and I wish that I could sing like them, but I'm kind of stuck with my voice, which is expressive, shall we say? It's expressive.
It is, but I think you have a crooner sense in you, just in your own style.
Okay, well, maybe I should try and
You croon.
You're encouraging me now, so maybe I could try and
Yeah.
work more on that. Yeah.
Get out there and croon. Don't be afraid.
I mean, I don't know if you're one of those guys. You know, I don't. Some people are addicted to being on stage and performing, and some people, you know, it's okay, and they can hang up the hat whenever it's time. Where do you think you stand in there?
I've attempted to retire quite a few times, and yeah,
You have.
yeah, and I've never managed it um, because writing songs is the only thing I can do really, and it's the way that I try and work out what I'm doing in my life, and also it's the only way that I kind of remember what I have been doing in my life. You know, I've never kept a diary or anything, so songs are the only thing that will remind me of. You know, I'll listen to a song from 1988 and I'll remember what I was doing in that year much more than if I try and just sit down and remember what I was doing.
I'm shocked to hear that you've never kept a diary. That's interesting. But I did it make writing a book more difficult, or do you think you were able to kind of get back there mentally when you needed to?
Well, I was really lucky actually with that. So the book was all based on stuff that was in a loft of a house, and the thing is, so I when I moved down to London to go to college, I brought lots of stuff with me. I didn't really know why, but it made me feel more kind of protected or something. I don't know. And I used to carry it from place to place because I was living in squats when I first arrived in London. So you would stay somewhere and then a bailiff would come and say, you've got to move out of this house, and you'd have to pick it all up and move somewhere else. So I moved this stuff around from place to place. Eventually, Pulp kind of sold some records and I bought a house and I put it all in the loft of this house. Then I split up with the woman that I was living with, so I left the house because it was too depressing. But all the stuff was still in the loft, and some friends lived there for 20 years whilst I was in Paris. And I used to kind of think, why have I, you know, I moved this stuff around. It seemed like it was important to me at some time in my life. I should look at it one day. And eventually I did look at it. And that was the thing that acted a bit like a diary, because I would it was such a mess inside this loft where it all was. I would just pick an object up and look at it and think, why have I held on to this for 20 years? And then as I looked at it, I would remember where it had come from, and it would trigger memories that I until I looked at the object, I would never have remembered that thing again.
No, it was an ingenious way to write a book like that, because I do think that, like, if you haven't kept a diary, you got to have something to trigger that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I found a photograph of a mug in a car engine, well, wedged in between some cables in a car engine. And I thought, what is that? And then suddenly I remembered that I had actually taken a guy who ran a garage to court because I'd taken my car to be repaired, and then it broke down about a day after, and I opened the hood of the car and there was this tea mug like wedged in the engine. So I just went back and said, what the fuck are you doing here? So you've messed my car up. So but I didn't remember that. I don't know how I actually went to court and represented myself in court and won, but I had no memory of this happening. So it's weird, it's weird with your mind, the things that stick in it and the things that don't.
Yeah. I'm glad that one was unearthed, because that's one of those memories that you'd want to remember because it has a good happy ending. You fought the law and you won.
Yeah.
Or you didn't fight the law, but
no,
you fought a bad boy.
Yeah, I punched the air when I remembered that.
little celebration never hurt anybody. What is your...
And instead of writing a song about it, you threw it in a box, and here we go.
Yeah.
Well, do you have enough stuff in this box to write memoir number 2? Is there enough of a fever out there to get more chapters from you?
How much shit is left? Are we gonna just do based on Suits?
No, you know what? I kind of discovered that device for writing that book, and I thought that would be it. But I only got up to the book ends. Not wanting to do a spoiler for anybody who hasn't read it, but it ends in the year 1985, I think, and before I'd moved to London and before Pulp had become known at all. I have got other objects left, and I am. It's kind of becoming fairly urgent now. If I want to write part two, I'd better start it because that house is has to be sold before the end of the year. So I'm working against a deadline now.
Why are you selling the house? Is it just time to unload, or is it an emotional release?
Part of both, really. I mean, I could say it was kind of like I bought that house and never really lived in it. And at the moment, my son is kind of living there a bit, but I don't want him to get too comfortable. So, so I have to get.
Yeah, keep his ass on his. Well, I mean, living in Paris for 20 years is quite a long time. Did you ever? I've been to Paris countless times in my life, and I don't really get it. I don't enjoy it the way some people do. Did you learn to love it, or were you there for love?
I ended up there because I got married, and my son
Yeah.
went to school there. I didn't like, when I was first there, it attempting to socialize was difficult. It's because in England, the way you kind of meet people is you go to a pub, you get really drunk, and you kind of talk to people because you're drunk, and then if you keep going to that pub, they become your friends and alcoholics maybe. But in Paris, people have dinner parties and things like that, and they don't really go to that. There are bars, but you don't really socialize in that way. So I found it difficult to make friends there and stuff like that. But over the years, then I don't know, something weird happened after I'd been there for I don't know, 14 or 15 years. Suddenly I started to see what was good about it. And weirdly, now that I don't live there anymore, like my son was living in my old flat there, but now he's moved to London, and I got rid of the flat. And now I find myself, I have actual dreams about Paris quite a lot, because it's weird when you've got a kind of city mapped out in your mind, but you're not there anymore. It's like part of you is missing or something. It's a strange feeling.
Wait, well, when you go back, do you slide into it, or have you not really been back unless you have to?
Well, we passed through it
Mm-hmm.
just the other day. We were on our way to play a concert in San Malo, which is on the coast, and we got a Eurostar, and then we got in a van. So I drove through it, and it was quite a weird feeling to recognize it, but not realize you weren't part of it anymore.
No, I get that. But I mean, London is home. I'm sure it feels better to be back.
Yeah, London's all right. I mean, my main revolution in my life has been that I've spent quite a lot of time in the countryside recently. I'm becoming a bit of a kind of Farmer Giles kind of guy.
What are you doing out there? Walking around?
Yeah, I'm trying to learn the names of trees. The only ones, the only ones I really recognize at the moment are the obvious ones, like an oak, because I recognize the leaves of an oak tree. But just I was brought up in Sheffield, very urban place, but surrounding Sheffield is countryside, and yeah, it's quite good being in the countryside. It's like it puts you in your place. You kind of look at a landscape that probably hasn't changed for thousands of years, and you just realize that human life is not that big a deal.
It gives you the perspective.
Yeah,
Just one small part of the planet Earth. Well, are you friends with our friend Plum Sykes? Do you know her?
No, I don't.
She's also a country liver, but we hung out at her house in the Cotswolds last summer. Was like a Vogue editor for a long time in the fashion world. But I wanted to ask you, as a country living person, how many hours can you leave a roast chicken out of the icebox for over there in the country?
Probably all day.
Yeah, all day, huh?
as long as it's not in a heat wave or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If it's in the shade, yeah, I'd say all day. I mean, if you're leaving it
Okay.
out in broad sunlight, then I'd say probably 4 hours.
Okay.
Do you have any animals to speak of, or is this just merely grass?
No livestock. No, I mean we've got a dog.
Okay, that doesn't count. I was hoping
No.
for some livestock.
Does the dog know how to catch the ducks after you shoot them?
No, he doesn't. But he does. He watches sheepdogs, and I can see that he's quite jealous of how they round up sheep. So maybe he could become the first Chihuahua sheepdog. You know, that would be like that could be my claim.
That would be revelatory.
Yeah.
That would be big.
Yeah, that could be my claim to fame.
What's the Chihuahua's name?
He's called Tony.
Tony.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like you named your dog after your coke dealer in the '90s, but I like it.
No, it's actually named after Tony Soprano.
Because you're just such a fan of the program.
Well, yeah, because it was a lockdown purchase, the dog, and we watched all the Sopranos during the lockdown, and that helped a lot. And I enjoyed it a lot. So Tony became the obvious name, and he fulfills. He kind of lives up to the name.
Oh, does he? He has a similar attitude.
Yeah.
The way he views the world.
Yeah, kind of.
How much more reading do you get done in the country versus in the city?
Probably read a little bit more in the country,
Okay.
but not that much more. It's harder to get books in the countryside, so I have to kind of carry them around. I mean, that's something that I do on tour as well, and my bag weighs a lot because, especially we're coming to America, so we'll be there for 3 weeks. So I'll probably end up bringing maybe 8 or 9 books.
Wow.
1 or 2 of them might be hardbacks, so that is quite a lot to carry around.
Yeah, that does add some kilos to the check bag.
I just read. I'm a bit late to. I just read On the Road by Jack Kerouac whilst we were on the road, and I really liked it. So I think I'll probably try and read some more by him whilst I'm in America.
Yeah, that seems like a good
Wow.
idea.
Okay, so why do you think you put that off for so long? Because that's a book that most fellas, that's like high school.
Yeah,
a rite of
is
passage.
when you tackle that one. If you have a cool teacher.
Yeah.
If you have a cool teacher.
Yeah, well, I think I had a kind of slightly immature attitude when I was younger. Like I thought that I didn't want to read all the books that everybody else was reading. I wanted to discover new ones and stuff. So I kind of tried to do that. And then as you get older, you realize that books that are well known are well known for a reason because they're good. So,
Sure.
So I'd been bought On the Road a couple of times, for my birthday and stuff, and just never really felt like reading it. And then I just suddenly thought, you know what, I'm going to read that, and I really enjoyed it. It's quite strange to read it. I'm 61 now, so like you say, it's more of a book that you read when you're younger to give you an idea about a different way of living your life if you want to live it that way. And it was very influential in its time. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I think I will try and read more by him.
Now, do you have your own bus in these situations? So you've got the back lounge set up Jarvis style?
Well, I've got a bit of I try to avoid tour buses.
You fly.
Well, it's just when the first time I came to America, it was when Pulp supported Blur. Blur did a tour in 1994,
Yeah.
and we had to travel on a bus, and we had to share it with the crew as well, and we had to sleep on it, because we didn't have much of a budget for it. So that was just like a kind of very traumatizing experience. It's just like the way that people turn feral very quickly on those buses, and you just spend 2 days traveling across the desert, and then you're supposed to sleep in this kind of coffin like alcove, and I hated it. So we definitely don't have a tour bus as in a bus that we live on. We will travel by bus because some of the dates are quite near. So being on a bus being on a bus for 2 hours is okay. That's all right. That's just like
Sure, you can handle that.
I can
It's the
handle that.
overnight stuff that
Yeah,
puts you put on edge.
yeah.
I think that's reasonable. I mean, it is a terrible way to live and travel, but I thought it was sort of unavoidable at a certain point. But you've earned the right to figure out a new way for yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Everybody appreciates that about you. I'm sure everybody appreciates that about you.
On the when I was talking about Tina earlier, but I was realizing when I was listening to that song, are there any other songs where I guess they're kind of named after women, or you're calling out to a woman's name like Deborah or Tina? Is this a theme where there's more songs that I can't think of right now?
Yeah, I mean that's what I realized with that song, that I realized that maybe what could even, I guess, could be considered an issue with that, because um, you mentioned Deborah from Disco 2000, but there's also a Pulp song called Sylvia. And there was a Pulp B side called Paula. There was a solo single that I did called Angela. And now it's Tina. So I've obviously got a thing about women's names that end in A. I don't know why, but
Are all of these women real?
so I think, well, Deborah definitely was real. That song is pretty true. It's about a girl. I was born in the same hospital as her and went to the same school as her. Sylvia was a girl who looked a bit like Sylvia Plath. So that wasn't her real name. Paula was a girl from Hull who used to follow Pulp around a bit. Angela was, I don't know if that was a name at all. It was just somebody I saw in Australia once. And and Tina was real. Tina was real, and Tina was a woman in Sheffield who I thought I would try and talk to once, but then just as I was walking over to her, she started talking to another guy, and so I gave up. But then I kind of used to bump into her occasionally and developed a bit of an obsession with her, which ended up being the inspiration for that song, which is really the guy who sings that song is kind of a jerk, I suppose.
It's fun to create these characters, isn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, I enjoy singing that song actually.
Yeah, it's a great one.
I did want to talk about clothes a little bit.
Okay.
Just because I feel like that is something that you are passionate about, and I have you been working with someone to make these suits and these jackets for years, or do you kind of spread the love around?
Yeah, well, all my clothes used to be secondhand.
Yeah.
That started from really in the aftermath of punk rock happening, where I didn't want to wear flares anymore. So I just started going to jumble sales, which I guess they're like a bit like yard sales, but they would be in like a church, and you would get clothes very cheaply. And I kind of developed, I don't know, a look from doing that. Then I graduated to charity shops, and
Sure.
and did that for quite a long time. Then actual vintage clothing shops, but then in recent years I have had things made. I guess because now the clothes that I'm interested in are like 50 years old, so you would never see them in a charity shop, So there's a tailor in Paris, and the shop is called Husbands.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with Husbands.
Right.
That's really up your street look wise.
Yeah, so most of my clothes are made by them. Like all the clothes that I wear on stage now are made by them.
Oh, that's great. I didn't realize that. I didn't know that. I mean, he makes suits that I really like, but I don't think would work on my frame.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you found him, because I feel like
Thank you.
are the right frame.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
I feel like he has good taste in music.
Yeah, he has got good taste.
That's nice.
Do you remember the last? I know you used to probably go to raves back in the day,
Yeah.
in the 80s and 90s. Do you remember the last rave you went to?
Well, I mean, it's a long time ago, because, raves, the thing that I liked about raves was a lot of the fun was just finding them in the first place. It was just after I'd arrived in London, so 1988. the first one we went to was we bought a ticket and there was a coach that left from Soho Square, and we were on this coach, and as we got near to the party, everybody started smiling and laughing. So they all must have like had a knee on in the coach and were getting in the mood. But we just thought, wow, these people are in a good mood. And you know, that first encounter with the rave was such an amazing revelation to me, because having been brought up in Sheffield, and you know, I'd gone to nightclubs from quite an early age. There was always an edge of violence in nightclubs in Sheffield. People would, like, guys would try and get off with girls, and if they couldn't get off with girls, they'd just beat somebody up just for something to do. So it was always a bit like it was. It was fun, but you had to be careful. And what I liked about raves was, as soon as you got in there, you know, there was like a big Ferris wheel in the background and all these lasers going off, and everybody was just in a really good mood. Nobody was really drinking alcohol and getting wasted, and people were just dancing all night. And it was like what I dreamt a nightclub would be like. And so I really remember that first experience of it, because I just thought, wow, this is the future, and the future's going to be great. And then, you know, I kind of got a bit disillusioned with it, I suppose. One rave toward, I don't know if this was the last one I went to, but there was, you know, the police didn't like raves. They were illegal, you know, they were set up without people knowing it. And it became a kind of cat and mouse thing that would happen, that people would, if you could get everybody to the rave before the police knew where it was, then they probably wouldn't be able to stop it happening. But the police started getting wise to the fact that people were using mobile phones, because it was in the very early days of mobile phones, and they would track things. So there was one night when we kept going to places, and then the police had got there first, so, and they said, all right, it's okay, we've moved it to, and then they give you another map reference. And we were just driving around all that, and we finally got to this party, and they'd had to set the sound system up in a escape tunnel underneath the M25 motorway. So it was just a concrete channel, and with speakers at one end. And I don't know, I just got this feeling in my mind. I remember dancing, and then I was walking down the tunnel, and I felt like I was moving back in time. And I got to the end of the tunnel, and there were people kind of sat in the grass, and I thought they were like cavemen. And it was all like, it was all a bit weird. And
I'm sure you were sober for all this too, right?
no, I wasn't.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah, and yeah, when you're dancing in an escape tunnel that's supposed to be for badgers and deer to stop getting run over on a motor, I just thought, yeah, it's. And then you know, then places like the Ministry of Sound opened, and clubs that played rave music. But once it was indoors and it was just another club, it died for me. And I just, it was the kind of renegade aspect of it that was exciting.
Right. Has to have a little danger.
What is your, like, these days, how often are you going to see a band play, a friend or someone you want to see? Or is it pretty much like, unless you're touching the stage, I'm not going to kind of get out of bed?
No. I mean, the last show I went to see was Oasis at Wembley Stadium.
We went to Jason and I, but we
right.
went on, what was, I don't, Sunday?
We were there
night?
on Sunday.
All right, I went on Saturday, because we had played. We played in Sheffield on Friday night, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, I can get you into Oasis tomorrow." So I straight after the concert, we travelled down to London and went. And I mean, I don't know what you thought, but it was like, that was a quite an amazing experience, I have to say. The atmosphere of it was,
yeah, that was,
everybody singing the songs. It was a really unusual atmosphere.
I agree. I mean, I said that many happy people in one place is sort of unheard of.
Yeah,
but you're right. Singing every word to every song is a very rare occurrence, because usually bands, you know, they like to play some new stuff that nobody cares about.
Yeah,
and that's gonna limit the singing.
Yeah. But it was great. I loved it. It was a quite a good experience. So
I found myself surprised that so many people, the same amount of people were singing along to the Richard Ashcroft songs as well. I was
yeah,
really happy for him,
yeah.
and I feel like it's given his career like a big second life.
Yeah, I mean that was the perfect. I mean, him doing Bittersweet Symphony just before they come on just gets everybody up to a pitch of excitement, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was good. Because when I saw that it was going to be Richard Ashcroft and cast, I just thought, oh God, this is going to be a real kind of '90s nostalgia exercise. But it worked. You know, I was really impressed with that.
How do you feel about the nostalgia of things and how it's all coming back? And I mean, I'm sure you benefit from it in some ways, but it sounds like you're turned off by it as a whole.
Well, no, I mean, it's it's funny actually because you know Britpop, which is a word that I don't like, but I think the reason that it didn't really work back in the '90s was because it was really in thrall to the '60s. You know, it was thinking that it could make the '60s happen again, and that was doomed to failure because you can't make the past come back to life. But it was a time when people were bothered about music, and I think that's why those Oasis concerts have worked because everybody was aware of them and everybody knows the words to those songs. You might be surprised that you know all the words to those songs. So it's it's a collective experience, and that was the main thing that I took away from it was that what's happened since the '90s is that most of the rest of society has become less about collective experiences. You know, you look at a lot of things on your own, on a screen, on your phone or on your iPad or on your computer, and so a lot of entertainment has become just you, or maybe you'll text somebody, but to be stood there with like 70,000 people all in the same frame of mind is an amazing feeling. You know, that's why that's why I think live music is still a valid thing because it's something that it only happens when you're there with an audience, you know, otherwise you're just rehearsing. You know, a rehearsal is a completely different thing. You're playing the same songs, but when you're playing it and there are people there, they how they react to it alters what you do, and it's not something that you can completely quantify and say how it works or why it works, but it does work.
When you guys are playing, what is the are there more young people there than you thought there would be? Or are you surprised at the demographics that are coming to a Pulp show in 2025?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, what we played last autumn, and that was something that I noticed straight away because you look out into the audience and you see people, and I'm thinking, well, why are you here? Because you weren't even born when we were last here.
Why are you here?
Well, yeah, but I just, you know, I've always been curious about that. I always wonder about. I've always wanted to know what brings people together. You know, because that's the exciting thing about a concert. You know, you get people coming from all over the place and they all gather in this one room, and it's the only time ever that they'll all be in that room together and they're watching something, and you make something happen between you and the audience, and like I said, I love that. It's what, you know, it's what makes songs come back to life when you play them to people and you get a reaction back from them. Then it isn't a nostalgic thing because it's something happening right then in that moment.
No, that's a good way to look at it. I've never thought of it that way, as far as the nostalgia portion of it. But I mean, we talked about this in the intro a little bit, but it was, you're one of the few bands that reunited and put out an album that was good. And I want to just say congratulations, because that is a feat that not many people accomplish.
Well, thanks.
Many dare.
It is. It's just most of the time you're dreading that from a band that you love. You're like, please God, do not put out new music. I would just want to see you play. You know, I just want to see you play. I want to have that experience.
Yeah. What other bands have, I guess, like when New Order got back together and put out that record, whatever, 20 years ago, that one, I was like, oh, thank God it's good. You know, it happens every once in a while.
It's just a rare, but I think that the touring of it all has gotten so much more popular that it's bringing bands back to the studio, I think, because they just see that the audience is still there. But the results just aren't very good in my listening experience.
You could tell when they're doing it for the money and when they're not.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that was it.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as that. That's true.
The way that the record came about was really from playing, and there was one song, the song that's on the record called Hymn of the North. That was a song that I'd written for a play that had come out in 2019. And I gave that song to the guy who was doing the string arrangements for the live shows we were doing, and he worked out an arrangement. So then we would just play that as sound check, which just made sound checks a bit more interesting because we were playing something we weren't familiar with. And then we just thought, okay, well, why don't we just try and play it? And I think, that's how you are when you first start a band. You write songs and you think, okay, could we play this for people? And then it's exciting to see what people make of it. And, luckily the night when we played it in Sheffield, no one threw anything at us on stage or walked away to the bar. So then I just thought, okay, well, let's see how far we get with that. Let's keep writing songs. If nothing else, it'll give us other things to play live. And eventually, we had enough songs that were good that we thought, okay, we'll make a record. But I'm glad that we played them live first, because you have to, until you play a song in front of an audience, you don't really learn whether it's good or not. You as soon as you play it to an audience, you can tell whether they're into it or not, and also you can tell which bits of the song work and which bits you still have to do some work on.
Well, this seems very similar to the way a comedian would work out a routine.
Yeah,
trying it out in front of the crowd, and then when it's finally done. But usually it's the other way around with bands. You write the record, at someone's house in Malibu, and then 3 years later you're playing them for the first time, and you hope everyone likes it. But I'm glad that you guys sort of reverse engineer it.
Yeah. Well,
then you end up with more good songs.
Yeah, I think so, because when we have done that in the past, and you have this horrible moment where you play it, you've recorded it and you play it and you realize, oh, I'm singing that bit too low. You just, as soon as you're singing it to an audience, you just realize that really fundamental things about a song. And if you've already recorded it, it's too late to put it right, So yeah, that's if this was a workshop we were doing, that would be my advice to young musicians: play songs live, learn about them, and also write lyrics before you go in the studio. There's two things I've learned.
That seems like good advice. We talked about song titles earlier, but since I first saw and heard Sorted for Ease and Whiz, I thought that was one of the greatest song titles of all time. And it really just still grabs me to this day. And I just want to thank you for that. All
right. Well, we should really be thanking a girl whose name I can't remember, because she gave me that title because I was in a club that's just shut down, actually, in Sheffield, called the Lead Mill. And I was talking to this girl, and she said that she'd been to the famous Stone Roses concert at Spike Island. And then I said, oh, what was that like? And she said, well, all I can remember is that there were these scally guys walking around, and they were just going, everybody sorted for Ease and Whiz, everybody sorted for Ease and Whiz. And that phrase kind of stuck in my mind. And we were trying to finish different class at the time, trying to just write songs, because we'd released Common People with only one other song written, and we had to
you had to make some shit.
We had to so that became the chorus of that song. So unknown girl in Sheffield, thank you
to her. And I also think that and Jason and I come to London a lot, and we both really like it. We spend a lot of time there, and I think that the class stuff that comes up so much, I think I learned, at least from a top-down view of that, from Pulp in a lot of ways, like what that stuff was and kind of what it meant, and not realizing how important it was to sort of the fabric of British society, which is what I've come to understand.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, the class system in the UK. I suppose if you're brought up with it, so it's and that was the whole idea of the different class record, because I always felt a bit ambivalent to it all, because I was born in Sheffield. That's a pretty working class place, but I was scared of working class people like miners, because they would just beat you up if you were wearing strange clothes and stuff like that. So I want. I could kind of think, oh yeah, theoretically I'm on your side, but please stop. Will you please stop kicking me in the face? And then Sheffield's also quite a big student town, so you would get kind of more kind of middle class people coming there, and that was kind of good because you could go to their parties and drink their drink for nothing on a weekend. But yeah, I just got this feeling that there had to be another class. So you had to kind of try and escape from these weird bands that you had. I didn't want to belong to a particular demographic group, so that was the whole kind of idea behind that. But it still does, like, as you say, you must have been aware of it. If you come to London, it's still alive and kicking.
Yeah, I think there's also just, in America, being upwardly mobile and striving to be rich and successful is sort of what we reward.
Yeah.
In many ways, and I think that's a very big difference. It feels like in London or in the UK that you're kind of supposed to stay where you're at. It's not as sort of rewarded to be a striver.
No, you're right. Yeah.
I was just going to say, despite all of that, in growing up in California, I was able to piece together, what all of that meant, and I was able to create my own version of common people where I lived. And our version of renting a flat above the shop, we can figure out and make that our own.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it was really fun, growing up and bopping around to your songs when I was, like Chris said, when we were teenagers. It really made music fun, and we still play your music all the time. I'm going to DJ a party tonight, and I'm sure I'll play one or two Pulp songs. So thank you for everything you've done and taking the time to chat with us.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
All right. Well, maybe come and see us if you're around.
Yeah, we'll try. Yeah, if we're in town, we'll definitely try to come to one of the shows. I would love to. I missed the last round, but yeah, thanks again. We appreciate it.
All right,
and
nice
hopefully we see you soon.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, later.
Bye.
I don't usually make any notes before we play, because I think that you should always be spontaneous on stage. You know what I mean? I think you should come on and be in the moment. And we come on here and you're there, and we do our thing and we see what you make of it, and then it comes back to us and it's something that happens, right? Which is what I believe in. But because I was sat in the tent today and I was thinking about things, I did actually write a few things down. So let's see if I've missed any of them out. Carrots, potatoes, peas. Oh no, sorry, that's my shopping list. Alright, I've said most things. The only thing is, you can't buy feelings, and you can't buy anything worth having. Also, the other thing is, if you want something to happen enough, then it actually will happen. Okay. And I believe that. In fact, that's why we're stood on this stage today after 15 years, because we wanted it to happen, you know what I mean? So, if a lanky get like me can do it, and us lot, yeah, you can do it too, alright? So, on that positive note, this is the last song. We can't play any more after this. This is Common People.
She came from Greece, she had a thirst for knowledge. She studied sculpture at St. Martin's College. That's where I She told me that her dad was loading. I said that place was ruined. Coca-Cola, she said fine. And then in 30 seconds time, she said, I wanna live like common people. I wanna do whatever common people do. Wanna sleep with common people. I wanna sleep with common people like you. Well, what else could I do? I said, I'll see what I can do.